Just before we get started, I want to mention that the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And today's agenda, as the welcome and introductions, we are almost finished that. Then we'll do a quick poll just to gauge where everyone's at today. We'll do the presentation and program overviews. We'll go through some program advising slides, and then we'll do the Q&A at the very end. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Heather Burke and Ken Markin, the program heads for Diagnostic Medical Sonography. And I believe Ken is going to go first. Take it away, Ken.
Hi, thank you, Darren. All right, can you advance to the next slide?
Certainly.
Excellent. Well, diagnostic medical sonography is commonly known as ultrasound, which I'm sure you guys are all aware. We use high frequency sound waves to examine the human body and the developing fetus. These examinations that we do are really separated into two category areas. Cardiac sonography, for example, we focus on the heart, and that's typically performed in cardiology or diagnostic imaging departments. And then the other category is general sonography, and it's quite broad. This includes obstetrical scanning as well as imaging of the abdominal and pelvic organs, which includes like the uterus and ovaries. We look at blood vessels and even superficial structures like the thyroid gland. General sonographers work in hospitals or even outpatient community medical imaging clinics. As you know, each patient comes with a unique set of needs. And as a student at BCIT, you will learn the diagnostic problem solving and team collaboration skills to give each patient the highest quality of care. Next slide, please. So sonography is a diagnostic field. We perform diagnostic imaging investigations, which assist physicians like cardiologists and radiologists in achieving a diagnosis. We assess the anatomy and function of organs. For example, we can examine the heart and evaluate its performance. Sonography integrates anatomy, biology, and physics, the knowledge that you acquire at BCIT, and this enables you to directly apply it while caring for patients in either the private or the public sector. Next slide, please. So we have a number of different options within our program. Firstly, we have our entry to practice diploma program, and we have two streams. We have the dual stream, which includes both cardiac and general sonography. And if you take this option, you come out dual trained in 27 months. Conversely, we have our dual stream option, which is a 22-month program in which you learn about general sonography, like I alluded to earlier, obstetrics, abdominal, and vascular. We also have our Cardiac Advanced Diploma Program, which is actually an intensive 12-month advanced diploma option in cardiac sonography only. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that it requires a prior Bachelor of Science or Health diploma. And Heather will be speaking to the Cardiac Advanced Diploma Program in just a moment. Next slide. So with regards to the diploma program, we have a cohort model, and 36 students actually work together during the first year. In fact, level 1s through 3. At BCIT, they attend classes together, labs, and then they stream into their various options. Once we get into level 3 and 4, they have a short clinical, only about 3 weeks in the summertime between first and second year, where you just get to a taste of clinical. And then your final clinical rotations start in second year, and that's terms 3 and 4. And for the general option students, they would have clinical from January all the way through June to the end of June, whereas the dual students, because they're training in both general and cardiac sonography, they start in January and they go right through to November although they do have a short summer vacation of about 6 weeks through July and August. Now, with regards to clinical, we try to place you in the Lower Mainland. However, because we are a provincial school, we will ask you to be placed in a preferred location somewhere in the province. This could include the interior or Vancouver Island. Next slide. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my co-lead, Heather Burke, and she'll tell you a little bit more about the Cardiac Advanced Diploma Program.
All right, hello everybody. Like Ken alluded to, this one is cardiac only, and it has a little bit of a different structure. The prereqs are different, so you need to have completed a degree. We recommend like a kinesiology or a biology, some sort of science degree. And because you have that education behind you already, there's less courses when you're here on campus, and we're able to get the program done in 12 months. This year we'll be taking 12 students. Terms 1 and 2A are on campus. So you're on campus full-time from January until the end of May. And that is a mix of labs and theory classes. And then you will go out to do your clinical, and clinical is from June until the end of December. So you'll start in January and you'll graduate December of the same year. The clinical is similar to our diploma program, where you could be placed anywhere in British Columbia. We will accept like your requests, but we can't guarantee anything. So you could be placed anywhere in BC for that 24 weeks of clinical. Next slide. Oh, I kind of talked about this already. Yeah, the program is intense. So even though you're just learning cardiac, you're on campus because 5 hours a day of theory and lecture and labs combined. So it is a full-time program, and you'll have several different clinical sites. You're not going to go to just one clinical site. I think you'll go to 2 or 3 different sites around the province so that you get a different experience. Every hospital is a little bit different. Some are smaller, have less opportunity for extra special procedures. So we'll rotate you through all the different hospitals around BC. Next slide. Here are the qualifications here. So there is 2. Option 1 is a Bachelor of Science. So we recommend like a kinesiology degree, but anything with a science background. So biomedical, physiology, biology, even chemistry. So if you've got your Bachelor of Science, feel free to apply. The other option is for those who are already working in the healthcare system. So these are our graduates of the 2-year health diploma programs, such as cardiology tech. So we have a lot of cardiology techs in the program right now, but we also accept MRI techs, X-ray techs, nuke med, general sonography. So if you want to train from general sonography and specialize in cardiac, we've had registered massage therapists and respiratory therapists as well. So to qualify under that category, you need to have graduated from the 2-year diploma, and you also need to pass your board exam that makes you qualified to work in the province of BC. Next slide. So why would you choose diploma versus advanced diploma? There's pros and cons to both, so it's really up to you. The first choice is how much education do you have? If you don't have a completed Bachelor of Science, you don't have, or a diploma in another healthcare field, then really your only option is the diploma program. But the nice thing about the diploma program is there's more options in that you can work cardiac and or general. However, if you know you want to work in cardiac and you already have a degree, the advanced diploma program is a lot shorter. That means tuition is half. It means that you're working sooner, making money sooner. And so there's a lot, financially, there's a big gain to working sooner. So it just really depends on what you want to do with your career. Next slide. This weekend. Job outlook. Right now, all of our graduates are coming out with a full-time job. We can't guarantee that forever, but right now, the career outlook is amazing. So I'd say almost everyone is working full-time if they want to work full-time. Some choose to work part-time, but really right now, there is a shortage of sonographers across the province of British Columbia. And so the job outlook is very good. Next slide. And here's the types of things you can do with a degree or a diploma from us. Most of our graduates will work in the clinical or hospital setting. So you can work as an echocardiographer, a general sonographer, or both. You can work as a dual sonographer, and you can become a department supervisor after a few years of experience. So all of the supervisors in the hospital start as techs. There's a few other things you can do though, however. There is the teaching side. So every hospital has a clinical liaison. And that is someone who works for the hospital, but they help teach the student when they're at the clinical site. And so they give feedback, they work with BCIT, they help us decide if a student's doing well or not. Or you can work at a post-secondary school like Ken and I are doing right now. There's also the sales side. And so there's often job postings out there to work for the big companies that produce the ultrasound machines to be a clinical app specialist or a sales rep. And so a clinical app specialist is somebody who goes to the hospital and they show them how to use the new machines. They teach them all the new bells and whistles, do in-services, and there's a lot of education to that part of the job. And finally, there's also volunteer work you can do. So you can become a board member on Sonography Canada, or there's other boards like the American Association as well. So there's some volunteer options as well. Next slide.
Actually, thank you very much, Heather and Ken. That was great information. And it is time for me to be reviewing with you the entrance requirements and admissions process, along with briefly discussing some key student services that are available to you at BCIT. So thank you very much for that. I'll just move forward. First, we'll have a look at the program details. Most notably is the application period for the individual start dates. I believe the cutoff for the DMS program has just happened, so this will be the following year. And very important is the applicant residency. All applicants must be residents of British Columbia. And you can always check the program details and dates on the program website. And filling out the application online is relatively straightforward. Once the application opens for each cycle, you can log in and review the online application. You can work on filling out the application at your own pace. It does not go on to admissions until you have paid the application fee. And the date you apply does not have any impact on your application. You have until the application deadline date to submit your application. And regarding the application process, you'll first review all entrance requirements and the application processing dates. Then you'll upgrade if necessary, and BCIT does offer upgrading courses in many subjects. Program advising can assist you with that for sure. Ensure that when you apply online, you have all your required documents such as transcripts ready to scan and upload as PDF files. Admissions can guide you through. Actually, if you go to bcit.ca/admission, it will guide you through the step-by-step application process. Then once you're ready to apply online, you can visit bcit.ca/apply. And the application fee for the domestic students currently is 90 Canadian dollars. The application process takes place entirely online. Therefore, you will need to convert your official transcripts and any additional documents that may be required into PDF files. Now let's review the requirements. So, okay. As you can see, there's proficiency in speaking and listening. English studies 12, PreCalculus 12, anatomy and physiology 12, physics 11, or physics 12, and Casper, which is a online test, and the mandatory applicant questionnaire. And preference will be given to all applicants with math, biology, and physics requirements completed within the last 5 years. They have a post-secondary education, consistently good grades in previous education, a demonstrated interest in the field, and related volunteer and/or work experience. There are test course options for meeting entrance requirements. Please contact Program Advising for assistance with that. The mandatory applicant questionnaire is your opportunity to highlight any non-academic experiences you have that will strengthen your application, as well to highlight your skills and abilities. The Casper test is an online test. The test will utilize everyday scenarios. A moral dilemma is presented to the test taker. There is no right or wrong answer. You cannot really study for the test. It's not a knowledge-based test. However, there is a full 12-section Casper sample test available online. You will need to have registered for this Casper account to access the sample test. The test is free of charge to use, so that's great. There is a lot of information on the Casper site to help you prepare for the exam. Please spend time reviewing this information. Now, the successful applicant profile, 100% have completed at least 2 years of post-secondary education, with over 60% hold on bachelor's degree or higher, sorry, and 88% have experience working with vulnerable people and some pre-COVID volunteer experience in healthcare settings. And if anyone needs COVID safe volunteering opportunities, sorry about that. Just gotta watch what buttons I'm pushing here. So there's no specific GPA required to application. However, a strong GPA is preferred in that it shows an aptitude for post-secondary coursework. But numerical grades are just one piece of the larger picture. Successful candidates are well-rounded. Selected applicants often possess consistently strong marks, demonstrated interest in the field, and relevant recent volunteer or work experience. B+ average, an advantage, especially in preferred courses. And a volunteer or paired work experience hours involving direct interaction with people in healthcare setting. Preference for experience with people with experience within the last 5 years. Pardon me. So as mentioned, as part of the online application, you will need to upload documents for a timely assessment to be completed. You can download official digital transcripts, or you can convert your transcript documents to PDF files. Information on how to convert documents to PDF files is available on our website. For example, you can scan or take pictures of your official transcripts and save them to PDF files. And please ensure you upload all required documents to minimize delays in application process. The admission process is first the admissions review applications. Admissions reviews applications to ensure requirements have been met. Admissions forward the completed applications to the DMS department. After application deadline, DMS department shortlists and selects applicants. Admissions sends acceptance letter, and then you pay the commitment fee, which is currently $500, I believe. Now moving from academics, I would like to let you know BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some student services are available to you as prospective students, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. Here are some other important student supports that I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aids and awards webpage. I would like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award. Selection is based on academic achievement, but also volunteer and community service. Please contact financial aid directly for more information. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. If you've been accepted to a program and believe that you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to contact our Accessibility Services Department. BCIT Student Health Services is a health clinic located at the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCI students all year round. We also have a counseling and student development department. available to help you develop your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. As well, our recreation services promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being. We consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services, which I believe had just opened up more considering the COVID lockdowns, shutdowns. Opportunities available at BCIT and other post-secondary institutions. There's magnetic resonance imaging, advanced certificate, and Bachelor of Health Sciences, Bachelor of Health Science at Thompson River University, Health Leadership Advanced Certificate from BCIT, and also the Bachelor of Technology and Technology Management at BCIT. Please don't hesitate to contact program advising if you have a question or unsure about something. They are available to answer questions regarding entrance requirements, the application process, student resources, success strategies, program schedules, and many other details as well. They are available to assist you via telephone, email, or by in-person or virtual appointments. Please go to the webpage at bcit.ca/advising for their most up-to-date contact information and service hours. If your inquiry is time sensitive, please call them during their telephone advising hours. This is the best option to get your questions answered quickly. Then I'd like to let you know about our social media handles. You can find School of Health Sciences on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We're also looking some more social systems, but currently those are the best ones to check out. And of course, you could always learn more with these website pages, including more info sessions and advising and tours. And hopefully I did not go through that too fast, because that brings us to question and answers. So everyone can just give me a second. I'm definitely going to enter the chat and see what we have going on here.
Jesse, can I just say something while you wait for the questions to come in? You will notice that we have two programs, the Advanced Diploma and the Diploma, and that they have different application periods. And so if you don't get into one, you can try for the other one. And so don't be afraid. Like if you apply for the Diploma program and don't get in, well, just a few months later, you could try, if you've got that diploma already, or the degree, sorry, you could apply for the Cardiac Advanced Diploma program. It's something to think about. You can apply to both, just not at the same time, but luckily the application periods are opposite each other.
Thank you, Heather. It looks like a lot of the questions have been answered. Thank you very much from the advising folks. I see Jesse and Maggie are both on there.
Typing away and sometimes answering one question twice, but that's the way it is in chat sometimes. So
yeah, the meetings can be hard with the chat because it doesn't let you know what has been answered. But thank you. Let's see if I can find one that has not been answered.
There's a few questions there, Jesse, about career options and how much they get paid. Somebody asked, are they able to get jobs in the Lower Mainland? And I would say yes. If you want to work in the Lower Mainland, you will most likely find a job in the Lower Mainland. I forget offhand the hourly rate. Ken, do you remember?
Offhand, basically probably anywhere between, well, probably starting around $35 an hour, roughly in there, right? If you have no previous experience.
Thanks, Ken.
sorry, I'm just scrolling through. I was going to try and answer a question, and then the chat scrolled on me, and I've lost it now.
Oh, no.
I believe someone was asking, can they apply in their final year of their Bachelor of Science, so before officially graduating and completing the final courses? And I think to answer that question, unless Ken or Heather want to jump in, because we have an application deadline outlined, an individual would have to have a completed credential to be able to apply for the advanced program. So they'd have to have that completed credential before the application deadline and be able to provide that.
Thank you, Jesse. I have one here. Hopefully it hasn't been answered further down the chat where I can't see. Kenny is asking, I am wondering if VCC ESL Pathway Program Level 8 is equivalent to English 12. That's definitely an advising one, but I have no idea.
Sorry about that. I was just responding to a question, so I missed the question that you stated.
Sorry, Jesse. Kenny is wondering if the VCC ESL Pathway Program Level 8 is equivalent to English 12.
So we do have some additional details on the website that try and address use of external studies, so ESL or ASL coursework. It's buried a little bit within the English section, so I'd probably recommend sending us an email, and then we could reference the details specifically through that link on the website in the English section, and let you know for certain. A lot of the common assessment tests are listed on there, but sometimes the courses are a little bit more challenging to cross-reference. So to respond to that, I'd probably suggest making contact with us at program_advising@bcit.ca.
Excellent.
The questions are coming in fast and furious. Hopefully
Yes.
we're keeping up with them.
I saw a couple questions about the cardiac advanced diploma. Would you accept like a Bachelor of Arts in Health? And I would have to look up what that means exactly, but what I would say is probably, but it depends on what that degree looks like. So send an individual note to advising, I guess, and they can always ask us to review what's involved in that degree and we'll make a decision. So don't be scared if it's a Bachelor of Arts, reach out to us and we'll look into it and see if it fits.
Yeah, and similarly, somebody's asked about a health science associate degree. And so with different credentials at each school, it can be challenging, and we want to make sure that it's coming from a recognized school. So more commonly, if you were taking an associate degree in health through SFU, and depending on the total credits, then that may be valid. Similar with the Bachelor of Arts in Health Sciences, coming from a school that we obviously are aware is recognized by the website. There's a link on the website that references to be able to check recognized institutions through CSIC, and so we just want to make sure that that it would be a valid program to have you proceed with.
Mm-hmm. I just saw a question that came in about shadowing a sonographer. At this point, just due to the current pandemic, and we don't recommend that you go in and shadow a sonographer. When you're looking for volunteer opportunities, certainly anything where you can, directly volunteer with patients, perhaps in a care home. But we understand that, it is challenging right now to have that interaction with people because of the pandemic at this point in time. So certainly any previous volunteer work that you've done in the past, say 5 to 7 years, could be valid, as well as, if you're doing something currently, perhaps, volunteering, talking to seniors in a care home over Zoom, to boost interactions, or delivering, meals for seniors, those are all, valid sort of activities that you can do. It is a bit challenging, I know, during the pandemic, but hopefully that helps. But we don't recommend job shadowing at this point.
There's a question about what type of work and volunteer do we recommend? For work, we actually, any job where you're working with people in a fast-paced environment is recognized. So even things like being a waitress or a waiter, or somewhere busy environment, a lifeguard, a swim teacher, anything like that where you're communicating with people is recognized. And then for volunteer work, again, anything where you're working with people, so like Ken mentioned a few there. But yeah, really we're looking for communication and that ability to work with others.
Thank you, Heather. I'm just going to read one out. I hope it hasn't been answered already, but it mentions, Emma says, on the successful applicant profile, it is stated that 100% of applicants have 2 years post-secondary. What if you do not have this? I have 1 year of post-secondary, but have worked in the healthcare since graduating and have a related volunteer experience.
That still sounds like a strong application, so I would certainly put your name forward if you're interested.
Excellent. Thanks, Ken. That looks like program advising is working on that one.
Someone asked about acceptance rate. We have 36 spots, so it's going to depend every year on how many people apply. The diploma program has a lot of applications, over 200 usually. The advanced diploma program has a few less spots as well, but you may want to consider looking at the cardiac advanced diploma program because you're not competing against quite as many people. So something to think about.
I also saw a question. Someone asked whether or not you can work in the United States with as a graduate from the BCIT program, and the answer is yes. You have to write the American registry exams, but you will be taught all the skills and all the clinical practice that you need in order to be successful to work anywhere in the world. And so we recommend that you write the Sonography Canada exams as well as the ARDMS, which are the American registry exams, especially if you want to work in the United States or internationally.
Excellent. Thank you, Ken. Cassandra's asking, where can I complete pre-calculus and physics prerequisites? I guess I don't know who to direct that to.
Well, certainly you can complete some of the prerequisites here at BCIT. Certainly there is coursework that you can take at BCIT, in math, English, or other sciences.
Excellent.
Somebody's asking about the advanced diploma program. If you only have a diploma in healthcare, no, you have to have a degree or a diploma with a board certification. So like a cardiology program through BCIT, and then you've written a board exam and are working as a cardiology tech. So it's either that or a 4-year degree.
Excellent. Thank you, Heather. Here's one. I have completed English 12 at 72%. Do I need to take English 12 again?
So I can comment on that to say that there is certainly the option to complete assessment testing. And to follow up additionally to that, when you're on the program page or program pages, there's usually a link below the requirements that says read more about how to meet BCIT's entrance requirements. And so within that link, you'll find details on upgrading options, assessment testing options, and other details that you might need to reference further English requirements, and so on. So it's definitely good to be able to click on that link and take a look at the information, and then correspond with us further or contact us further to discuss those details if they're confusing in program advising.
Thank you, Jesse. And I noticed that Maggie had answered that further down in the chat. So thank you for that, Maggie. And are there alumni who are already working and we can contact to inquire about the career? I love that one. I don't have a good answer for that one. Should maybe they contact the alumni people for that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have like a list of alumni you can contact, so I don't know how to answer that either.
It'd be personal to the alumni, so I don't know. But it's a great idea.
Heather, oh, sorry. I was just going to say, there's a question that says, is there a passing percentage required for courses once accepted in the program? So I don't know if there's a minimum that you guys have outlined to be above 50%.
65% minimum passing.
Excellent. Are trades considered to be post-secondary education?
And I tried to respond to that just to say that I'm assuming the person's inquiring about the diploma program, and that certainly any recognized post-secondary education could be a factor in being in strengthening their application for pursuit of the diploma. However, that obviously related education in health sciences or anatomy and physiology would probably be more beneficial. And I think Ken and Heather would probably agree with that, right? So.
We have had, like, we had one student who was a welder in her previous career, and she just wanted to change. So, you know, because the prereqs are really only those grade 12, she was able to get in. So we've had a great variation in backgrounds, but the majority of our students are health degrees first.
Mm-hmm. I also saw a question here from Olivia. Is there priority acceptance for students who are already BCIT students rather than transferring from a different institution? I can just comment that we have a competitive entry process. And so there's no particular preference given to any one student. It's all based on what they've submitted as their criteria when they fill out their questionnaire and their marks. We weigh everything. However, if you are an existing BCIT student, certainly you have perhaps an easier time with your application process because you don't have to submit additional transcripts. All your marks and everything would be internal to the school.
And Idris just asked, is age considerable or considered, I imagine is the intent. And I think I would comment to say that BCIT has a wide variety of individuals that apply to any of the programming. However, it might be more in the sense of, you know, if you've been away from education for quite a time, obviously we would suggest that you refresh your studies. And certainly if you can prove yourself and put it in a competitive application, there shouldn't be any factor that diminishes someone's age, I wouldn't think. I don't know if Ken or Heather want to comment further if there's any impacts to somebody getting involved in this one of these professions later in if they happen to be in their 50s or.
Well, we certainly had a number of different people that have come through that are either younger and they're starting out their careers, and others that are doing a career change. I think it just encourage you to put your application in.
And there's a question about the importance placed on Casper, whether that could make or break someone's application if they had a really strong application and perhaps somehow did really poorly on that assessment. I don't know if Ken or Heather wanted to comment on that.
Well, Casper is certainly one of the factors that we use as a tool. However, we also have students come in, or not come in, but we do virtual multiple mini interviews as in addition to Casper. So it's our opportunity to also meet you virtually and go through that process as well. And so Casper, just like the multiple mini interview process, is just part of the process that we utilize in order to, select individuals.
Hard to keep up with all these questions, but I saw something about applications open in October. It says, when are they cut off? Well, there's a closure date, which is, Darren mentioned it earlier. I think it's January
5th. January. So application window for the diploma program is in October, and it would be January 5th. So October of 2022 closes January 5th of 2023, and that would be for the September 2023 intake. Whereas with advanced diploma, it opens this May and closes in August for a January 2023 start.
And then, like Darren mentioned, it's not first come, first serve, right? When the application window is open, we just collect them and we don't look at them until they're all accepted. And then we go through the application process. So take your time, put an effort into that application.
And Carlene was just asking about whether Bachelor of Science in Nursing would be acceptable towards the advanced diploma. And I feel quite certain that would fall obviously within what the department's outlined. Yeah, it should be fairly straightforward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, someone just asked, if you don't get in the first time, we don't hold a wait list. So you have to reapply every single year. And if you don't get in your first try, don't be scared. A lot of our current students have applied 2 or 3 times, and every year their application gets a little bit stronger. So if you don't get in the first time, just keep taking more post-secondary courses, get more volunteer experience, some more work experience, and just make your application stronger.
I can read out the next question that just came in, if that's all right. It's from Janessa. What are the competitive grades for the entrance requirements? Can we choose what courses to use for entrance requirements if we have multiple courses that satisfy these?
Yeah, I think one thing to point out is grades is just one thing. You have to meet the minimum. And then and you can't pick and choose. We look at your transcript. So we'll ask that you provide your supporting documents. So either your high school transcript, or if you've got post-secondary, whatever you've completed, you need to submit that. So we'll look at all of them. You can't pick and choose. But remember, your grades are just one part. The reason why you want to do it is part of it. Your volunteer work, your how you describe your strengths and weaknesses, those are all important as well. It doesn't just come down to grades.
Excellent, thank you. Is the volunteer experience mandatory?
Well, it's not mandatory, but it's certainly strongly encouraged, and it'll help bolster your application.
Excellent, thank you, Ken.
And that's just important to note that obviously there's competitive preferences is near the top. And obviously those are things that the department's outlined that could strengthen someone's application. However, they've indicated the academic requirements. So what's absolutely required would be noted below that, including the Casper assessment and so on. So important to take a look at those details and reference the full details in the FAQs, because there's a lot of great information in there. The department's taking the time to put all that on there for you to reference. And so it's good. It's very helpful to make sure that you're on top of things when you're preparing your application.
Thanks, Jesse. That's a great reminder.
Harleen asked if there's,
sorry?
Harleen asked, is there specific courses, if she's in post-secondary, which courses should she take? We don't really do it that way. It's not like if you take kin, you're better than a biology student. Just work towards your science degrees, whatever you prefer. We don't look at per se if you have specific courses at university.
I'd also noticed a question from Cadence here. Do you require a specific volunteer experience? And she is currently volunteering at the food bank. That's an excellent place to be volunteering, and you'll have direct experience working with the public. So that is very strongly encouraged and very valid in this instance.
Someone asked what makes an applicant stand out during admissions process. It's a tough one to answer, but you're going to have to fill in that application. That's the first thing we see is your application. And so is it well written? Does it describe a passion for healthcare? Are you well-rounded? Are you good at, have high marks at school, but also volunteering and working at the same time? So really looking for a well-rounded candidate. There's a question about tuition. I believe tuition's on our website. Is that right, Darren?
That's a great question. It definitely should be. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, so tuition's generally linked on the program pages, and part of the reason it's linked is because obviously it does get updated each year, and so they've got it linked generally to a PDF file, and I think that they've made some improvements so there's less clicks to get to the actual tuition PDF file, which is great. So you can take a look at that in the cost of supplies section.
Yeah, I think Maggie just posted a link to the tuition in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. Excellent. Yeah, I know we're getting close to our time, and I just want to mention before people have to go, or if anything doesn't get answered or they have questions, if you have program-specific questions, you can feel free to send an email to sonography@bcit.ca. And if it's more of an admissions type question, then you can definitely email program_advising@bcit.ca. just so that you have that information. Sometimes we think of things later, so it might be good to jot those down. We have another question. With the cardiology and general option, could you work in both categories in your career? I heard you can only be employed for one or the other.
That's not true. You can work as both, and it depends on the site you're at. So a lot of the bigger centers, St. Paul's, VGH, they prefer you to do one or the other. A lot of the smaller sites prefer you to do both. If you're up north, if you're at the smaller community hospitals like Burnaby, they prefer people that can do both. On the island, they prefer you do one or the other. But how you can get around that is you can work part-time in the hospital in cardiology and part-time in a private clinic in general. So you can definitely work with both sides there.
Excellent. Thank you, Heather. And I should mention before we get out of here that a copy of the slide presentation will be sent out to all registrants sometime in the next week. And of course, there will be more info sessions, so feel free to watch any more info sessions if they're of interest for the rest of the week. We have them going on. And we will be posting a recording of the Zoom session. That might take maybe another week, but it will be on our YouTube channel. And there usually is a link on the program channel for the most recent info session. So you can always rewatch it, or if you missed anything, you can get it from there. And with that, I'm going to thank everybody, especially Jesse, Maggie, Ken, and Heather, for all your excellent information, and for everyone for showing up. I really appreciate that. I hope you have a great day, and I wish you all the best in your career in health sciences or whatever you end up choosing. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate you stopping by today.